Okay, so in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can bring your scan into Illustrator and how you use a feature in Illustrator called Live Trace to turn it into vectors so it becomes a graphic. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you'll go to File, Open, and you're going to want to browse for your scan, and then you select to open it. And there's a couple of ways that you can do this. You can drag your file directly into Illustrator to open it up that way. But either way, it's a universal kind of file format, so Illustrator will be able to open up just like Photoshop will. And then you can manipulate it into vectors. So here's our paintbrush. And so what I'm going to do is move my toolbox over. And I'm in the Essentials Classic version of Illustrator. Sometimes that matters. I'm going to click on it and select my image. So when I click on it, you can see the little bounding box on the outside of it that it's looking at my image. And so now it's saying, what do you want to do with this? I'm looking at it. What do you want to do? And so you can see right up here in my top menu, you'll see image trace, mask, things like that. Right in between image trace and mask, I see this little arrow tool. I'm going to click that. This is how I can convert it. The different ways I can do a high res image. The bigger that you convert it to, like 6 colors or 16 colors, is going to be a bigger file and have more colors that you got to pick through. This is black and white, so I kind of want to keep it really kind of simple. So I'll go ahead and say I don't want to see that again. And let it start kind of scanning it into shades of gray. But the more colors that you put into it is going to make it more challenging for you to edit it later. And since this is such a simple image of black and white, I'm going to try and keep it as a simple transformation as well. The other thing, the flip side of that is that when you select really simple ones, I'll show you that as an example in a second. But when you select really simple choices for the image trace, it can also break up your image in a way that you don't want it to. And so that can make it challenging too as far as the editing goes. And there we go. And you can see that we lost. This is always going to happen when you convert these things, but details are always going to get lost. And since we're creating a graphic anyway, it's not going to matter. We want our graphics to be simple. So like if I select in my image trace, say, I don't know, line art. And line art is a more simple, not as many colors going into it and things like that. And so line art will lose a lot of detail, as you can see. So that's not what we want to do. So I'm going to go and I'm just going to head and let's see what black and white logo gets us. Maybe it'll hold it up really well. Yeah, so that helps a lot. You can see how quick it went too, because it's only using black and white, not even 256 shades of gray. So once it's scanned like this, the key word at this point is to expand it. That's what turns it into vectors. So to show you really quickly, this is how Illustrator sees it. It knows something's there, but it doesn't know what, because it's pixels, not vectors. So when I click expand, it now can see it. It now sees it as vectors. And so one last thing that I'm going to do is manipulate it in terms of I've expanded it. It's vectors. I could turn these to any colors that I want. I want to get rid of this white background. So what do we mean by that? So I'm going to draw me a square, and we're going to fill it. Let's give it a new swatch, and I'm just going to fill it with magenta. All right. And now I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it behind the very last layer. So create a new layer, put it underneath, this and put it on my layer underneath. And so you can see there's this white, almost like the paper of your drawing, if you will. It's covering up that. And so I want to get rid of that so that I can put this graphic on anything that I want. To do that, that key line around it is really critical in the drawing step of it, so that it creates this kind of force field and makes it a separate image. Because then I'm going to take this white arrow tool, my direct select tool. I'm going to click on that background, and I'm just going to hit the delete key. And so now my graphic is just a graphic that I can put on any kind of background that I want to put it on. And it's a whole image, so I can move it all around if I want. If I want to change the colors on it, I would use my direct select tool. And we're just gonna screen that to pink. So I can select any of the white areas, and I can make them whatever colors I want, because now this is a graphic in Adobe Illustrator.